Well, back to some game dev this morning. We were Tuesday working on this project. So less than a week. Normally streaming this once a week, it's hard to regain context, but let's see if it's improved by having a couple fewer days between. We were working on this support towers or buff obstacles or whatever. Basically things that the player can place in the game that will have positive effects to other placeable things, defenses, for our tower defense game. Nom Defense. This game. So we left with a list of things to do from the last stream. Need icons for the things. We need to make unique models for the tower types. Probably start with there first. Maybe there's something that we can do where we can make Blender produce the icons for us. Because we haven't really done icons for any of the obstacles. So maybe working through a workflow for rendering some kind of icon from the model would be good. Particle effects showing active buffs, line from source to destination, so figuring out how to do that. UI tooltip showing the buffed turret stats on hover. So a thing that we want is the ability to move the mouse over obstacles in general and show info about them, and then showing, oh, this tower has been buffed by this amount from this or something. Or maybe just the raw amounts, like the cumulative range increased by 500% or something, right? So those are the to-dos from the last stream. We can maybe change the order of these around a little bit. And then I had Copilot review the code changes, and some of the things I just dismissed. I think there was one thing that was like, yeah, let's just do that. But I think one thing that we can do for starters is go through the code review and check to see are there things that are one, is it legitimate, right? Or is it nonsense, right? That's always possible with these things. And then do we want to do something about it? And do we want to do something about it now, right? So is it a legitimate problem or concern? Is it something we want to resolve, and do we want to resolve it now, are the three questions. And so we have a list of things here in VS Code. The first one is the cooldown beacon T-res file. Yeah, this seems wrong, right? So here, let me get rid of the sidebar here. So this cooldown beacon, right, and it says it's a cooldown beacon, refers to a packed scene for the range amplifier. Let's go bigger. I feel like often text is too small on stream, so we'll try to fix that. So yeah, I think rather than trying to change this in VS Code, though, we should just go over to Godot and look at the resource files. So inside of config, we have our obstacles, and so there's cooldown beacon, and the scene should be the cooldown beacon scene. The overcharger, yeah, see, this is range amplification. I don't know how legible that text is, but yeah, the wrong scenes, right? So overcharger, range amplifier is probably the right one. Range amplifier, okay. So I'll mark that as resolved, and we'll see already. Interesting. So apparently, yeah, we renamed obstacle type resource to resource obstacle type at some point. Our resource file not caught up. Okay, so given that, maybe we should go through every single one. Okay, cooldown beacon. Electric fence. Oh, this didn't change. It still says range amplifier. That's so weird. Quick load. Overcharger. Maybe that change didn't save. So that was for the overcharger. Okay. Great. So I need to go to each one, make sure that the things are current and correct, and then save it, just to make sure things are how they're supposed to be. So that's the range amplifier. Spike barricade is the thing that we opened up. Turret. Alright. That is my Discord. We finally got the go live notification in the community Discord. Wall is our crates. Yep. So we'll commit this. Okay, sure. And then we'll go back to GitHub and roll right through the reviews, the review comments. Yeah, so this was right. Let's resolve that and resolve that. Were there just two? Yeah, two related to that particular issue. Okay, let's go back to VS Code, and we have our comments. There we go. Okay, that's weird. That the thing that looks like a refresh button is unresolved conversation. Okay. I was hoping clicking the line would just hide it, but no, of course not. Okay, so next thing. So this comment here, right? The newly added obstacle group constant is defined but never used in the place method. Obstacles added to navigation obstacle group, but not to obstacle group. This isn't true. Specifically, this isn't true, and I left a comment here. Need to add documentation explaining these groups and the obstacles are already in the obstacle group. Like, the point of it being a constant is not that we need to use it here. It's that we want, we have it in a scene file already. So everything that inherits from obstacles will be in the right group already. But we don't want to add things to the navigation obstacle group until they are actually affecting navigation. So what we need to do is resolve this conversation, and then we're going to go up to where we're defining that constant. And say this group is automatically applied by the base scene, but is defined here for use in other scripts to find obstacles, right? Versus group to indicate obstacles should affect navigation. We add obstacles to this group upon placement for navigation mesh updates, right? some of that was already in the comments on the end of the line, but that's hard to see. Then we have a comment here. The buff receiving a timeout logic lacks test coverage. Okay, it's not that I don't care about test coverage. It's that I feel like it's maybe still a little too early. Like we should get to a point in the future where a lot of the foundational scripts will have solidified, like how they interact with each other. Some of that's already happened, but I think I'm of two minds. I'm always of two minds. Like TDD is good, it's fine and all that. I feel like the unit testing, like running unit tests with, I think we're using Gut. It's kind of heavyweight. It's not as fast as I'm used to in other environments. We're getting feedback from unit tests, and so that's kind of weighing me to the side of like one, holding off for now, and then only focusing on the most critical areas. Anyway, that's going to be my justification. Okay. So I think we're done changing that. Yep. Great. Okay, so some comments in buff obstacle.gd. So this is our subclass. The enum attack speed, enum value attack speed is misleading because it's applied to cooldown reduction. A positive attack speed buff would typically increase attack speed, reduce cooldown, but the current implementation requires a negative buff amount for this, right? So, I mean, this is fair. What do I want to do? Oh, there's my coffee. What do I want to do? I mean, even the fact that I bothered to put a comment here saying this to clarify this indicates that, you know, there's something funny about this. And that's the thing that made it so that we had to support negative amounts here, right? Initially, this was going to be 0 to 1, and we changed it to -1 to +1. So the way we implement this, we can look at that in a second. The way we implement this, right, is that we have apply buff to obstacle. We have this receive buff function. The obstacles handle. That's right. That's right. So we. Hold on. What? I don't think it's a problem if these are like, if the name of the parameters in the base class are different than the name of the parameters in the subclass. I don't think that's a problem. Here we go. So we'll look at that comment here in a second, but here's where we like take attack speed and we do something with it, right? And we change attack cooldown. Now, is it attack cooldown? Because the other comment said it wasn't. It's damage cooldown. I said I was gonna look at it in a second, and instead we're looking at it right now because that's distracting. Okay. Damage amounts. Huh. Yeah, damage amounts. Yes. Is 2 int a thing? No. Can we do that? We can do that. Okay, so we can communicate the intentionality of, yeah, I know we're putting in an int. Okay, so anyway, guess I'm addressing that first because that was distracting, as is this. Not really for clarity, but okay. Okay, so the property on the attack component is called damage cooldown, right? It is one thing we could do is we could change the attack component to instead of taking a damage cooldown, take a attack speed and calculate what the cooldown should be. Are those different? I mean, they are, right? They're reciprocals. There's some relation there, right? Because when cooldown goes up, that decreases attack speed. Increasing attack speed decreases cooldown. What is the nature of that relationship? So damage cooldown just drives our timer, right? It says you can attack every in seconds. Where, think about this, right? So if damage cooldown is can't be 0, is 10, then the attack speed is, right? So it's easier to understand if we think about this in terms of dimensions. Like this is, what is 10 here? It is 10 seconds per attack, right? Or this reminds me, and this is a trivial thing, right? But this reminds me of something I read in one of the many discords I'm in about someone who was taking a chemistry class and was like, when am I ever going to use dimensional analysis again? Right. So anyway, so basically the framing is that damage cooldown is expressed in number of attacks per second, but attack speed is seconds per attack versus attacks per second. Yeah, so they're reciprocal. Is this right? If there's 10 seconds per attack. No, this is not right though. No, that's right. There's 0.1 attacks every second. As in, yeah. If you measured over a length of 10 seconds, there would be 1 attack, which averages out to 0.1 attacks per second. right? So damage cooldown is 1 over attack speed. So if we wanted to reframe this in terms of attack speed, this is not an easy refactor. We have to go find everything that refers to this. But the damage cooldown is 1 everywhere, except for here. Damage cooldown for basic turret is 1.5. What is 1 over 1.5? Or, in other words, this damage cooldown is we attack every 1.5 seconds. So every, so there's an attack every, math is hard. Why am I doing math on live in front of a camera? This one's easier because 1 over 1 over 2 is a half, so that's easy. 0.75. I don't know if that's true, but I'm just gonna put that value there. Damage cooldown for the player is 0.1, so you can hit pretty frequently. So I'm going to say the attack speed is 10 here. And I haven't changed the property. We're going to do that in a second. I just want to address all the values first. And then we can just do a find and replace. Because I think it's just going to make everything easier if we express things in that manner. Anything where it's like, oh, it's 1, we can just leave as is. Okay, so then we're just going to change damage cooldown to attack speed. Great. And then in here, this comment doesn't need to be here. We will add a so this is not the cooldown time between attacks in seconds. This is how many attacks per second. Right, and then what we want to do here is that comment that I cut. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, I did want that there, but I was trying Copilot to go there to indent the line. If attack speed is 10 attacks per second, yes. Oh, yeah. So the if attack speed is okay, I meant the other way around. I meant that the damage cool. Okay, anyway. Look, it's early. If attack speed is okay, we're gonna do the other way. Attack second, then the attack cooldown is 0.1 seconds per attack. Okay, and that's redundant because we're just saying that in the code right there anyway. So I think that's right. We'll launch the game here in a minute, but let me commit all of this. Okay, except we can do that, but I also want to change how we're applying the buff, right? So I guess we don't need to change this. What we do need to change is the buff that gets applied. See, where's buff type defined? Okay, so I'm gonna leave it so that it's gonna allow negative values. And in fact, we might increase the range eventually as well. I guess we might want more than 100% or negative, less than negative 100% effect. I'm not sure why, but maybe. But what we can do is we want to look for things that use entity buff obstacle. Well, those are defined in the scenes, I think. Okay, so let's go to Godot. I'll reload things. Okay, so a lot of the settings are in the scenes for the entities. All right, so cooldown beacon. So this is the one that should increase attack speed by 25%. Now things are consistent, right? So we don't have this disparity between here it says attack speed and actually meant how it affects the attack cooldown. And then internally in the actual implementation, it was talking about cooldown. Now everything is talking about the same units in the same, the same thing, right? I don't think we have to change any of the others because this is the only attack speed buff. So like if we look at the overcharger, it increases damage, and the range amplifier increases range, and we didn't affect those. So that should be fine. Okay, so we'll push that up, and I think I'll go back to GitHub to kind of look at what all the comments are. Let's refresh this. What else? What else was outstanding? So in ranged obstacle, there's a note about we were saying attack range indicator, but it's really effect range indicator and ranged obstacle. And so in fact, let's go here and look for every place where we're still talking about attack. Let's hide that for now. Hides the attack range indicator should be effect range indicator. Whoops. Control F. Attack. Ah. Yep. Okay, go away. Attack. No results. All right. Let's come back to this. Okay, we addressed this. The opposite of the way it's suggested. We addressed that. And ranged obstacle. So that just leaves this comment. So this is talking about a potential performance issue, right? Where the buff, I guess the method is called like apply buff or something. There's a saying that is often misused and misapplied and misquoted. Premature optimization is the root of all evil. Which may be taking things a little too far. I think it's true that this is maybe something that we could do in a way that would be faster. but would involve touching things beyond these lines of code here. So I'm not going to. We could do things we like the things it's talking about in the comment, or other things we could do, but I'm not going to right now, because I think we can actually measure performance as we go, and we can profile and identify what are the things that are actually slow in practice, and address those if that even turns out to be the case, right? If that becomes an issue. Okay, so that is all of the review comments in about half an hour. All right, now for something similar but different, we need unique models for tower types. And these don't need to be final. Like I want to make something that communicates the idea of what these things are. And so we have 3 types of things, right? So we have, let's go back to Godot. We have the range amplifier, we have the cooldown beacon, and we have the overcharger. It kind of made like it's a square abstract rook, sort of. For this, sure. What should these things look like? In the notes for the ticket that we're working on here for support towers, we have at least the idea of like an abstract idea, because it's talking about in this the icon being an antenna or radar dish, the cooldown beacon being a clock or timer, and the overcharger being a battery or power symbol. So maybe there's something there in that idea. I think, again, this is going to be essentially a better placeholder than the placeholder we have right now. I think what I'll do is I'm going to aim for making models that address what the icon is, and then we'll use those to actually generate icons. And then we'll use the same model as the placeholder for future modeling. Yes. I think so. Like ultimately, like long term, the idea for the things in the game are to have things that are like this, where it's a stack of crates or boxes. There's no textures here or anything, right? It's just we're sketching things out. But or like the electric fence is kind of high tech. Like, this is probably too fancy for the style that I think I want to go for. Like, the spike barricade is good. It's too clean, right? But that comes down to adding detail and, you know, making things look rough. Like, sometimes making things look worse is hard because of the detail to do that. But that's the sort of thing where, like, right now we're doing kind of conceptual models, and then we'll come back and refine. Because the concept in the game is that you are making the survivors in the world. In fact, let's get the game going. We haven't even run the game today, right? So the survivors in the game are be able to, being able to collect scrap. Oh, rip, I lost. It's not balanced currently, but anyway, you're able to collect scrap. You're able to build things. Let's go back to the our test scenario so we can have a survivor that will live for a very long time. But you can build things, right? And you build things out of scrap, right? So you collect scrap from the world, you get scrap from defeating zombies. You can place things you build things out of scrap, and those are defenses and weapon, turrets and things like that, right? So nothing should look like this when you're making it out of scrap. Is the point that I'm trying to get across here. So we'll eventually get there. I think, in fact, in the roadmap, I have this call out. I think in phase 3, visual style paths, where we kind of we'll look at that more. But anyway, right, to support towers, I guess it's time for Blender. It's blending time. And we are finally on Blender 5.0.0. We can import preferences from previous version, apparently. There we go. File, default save startup file. Okay. Oh, you know what? I often want toggle X-ray turned on. Is there anything else I want turned on for my let's see, maybe render. So default render engine is Eevee. There were some things I was watching the Blender Guru, the new Blender 5.0 Blender Guru donut tutorial, just because I always need to spend more time there learning things. And one thing that was called out was having ray tracing turned on for Eevee. I think it was ray tracing. And then if we turn on... Oh, we're compiling Eevee engine shaders. Presumably that's why we can't see our cube. But I was just thinking, we should... interesting. Filmic. False color. Raw. Standard. Ooh. Oh, I see. It's a standard. High contrast. That seems nice. There we go. All right, and then file, defaults, save startup file. And so what's nice is that those settings should, like if I just quit Blender, don't save, and then I relaunch Blender, when Blender starts, it will have, and it likes to start on this other screen. We'll bring it down here. It'll save like the exact position, like how the viewport was set up, the color management stuff I just did, the fact that ray tracing is turned on, all the things that I configured will be there whenever I start Blender in a new file, right? So doing that is something I learned about a couple of years ago now, I guess. But Anyway, what are we doing? So we need to make a radar dish. So what does that look like? Not sure. Let's start with a cube that will be the basis for, like, we need a base for the radar dish. Some kind of like the I don't know, the building that it's on top of. I don't know, something. Maybe scale. Go down. Maybe that was scale too much. I don't know. Okay, so then let's add some kind of mesh. It could be a UV sphere that we could cut some off of. I think that would make sense, right? We want, so let's do this. UV sphere. We don't need that many segments or rings. The radius could be smaller, should be smaller. Maybe like that. And then grab that and move that. Oops. Grab the sphere, move the sphere up. And then we'll go to edit mode and let's go like side view here. And we're just gonna delete some of this. Hey!
Bartholomew Bronson 115 just followed.
Well, hello, Bartholomew. Or would you prefer a shorter address? Hello, thanks for the follow. So we might need something shallower. Can we scale this? Oh yeah, we can just do that. That seems good. It's not quite right. Maybe, thinking on the X. Maybe about that much. And then we can do some stuff to it with some modifiers. We can do, boop, 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 solidify. Hope your Sunday is going well, wherever you are. Just a disclaimer, I'm here in Blender doing some modeling for my game. It's although I have touched Blender many times over let's say a long while, I am by no means an expert. As I was saying, I was watching a tutorial you know, covering basics, but also like what's new and possible in Blender 5. So I'm definitely not an expert. Let's rotate this maybe like 45. Seems good, right? And then we'll just kind of move this off to the side. Okay, I'm liking what's going on here. I feel like with this, our base is too wide. Maybe something more like that. And then we'll add another cube. Actually, instead of doing this, let's extend this mesh upwards. Let's see, 3 for face select mode. And then extrude, scale, extrude again. Something like that. Did I make those intersect? That's kind of what I was hoping is to... I think so. I think they are. Sure. At some point, if I wanted to make a version of this, we might have one where the dish rotates. We could actually break this. Not do the thing that I just set out to do of extruding, like extending the shape, which is like break this off and merge it with this sphere. It's not quite right. Let's see. So I was reminded of the fact, is it alt click? No, I need to be in edit mode. And then we need to be in like line select mode. And then is it alt? There we go. Select an edge. And then Control E is a thing. Can we edge slide? We can edge slide. The edge that's like on the rim of a thing like this. I don't know that's what we want to do, because that gives some interesting behavior, right? It's definitely not how that should work. So this is where, honestly, if we rotated this back 45 degrees, oops, rotate 45. So is this, okay, rotate around the y-axis, 45 degrees. Now in edit mode, I can go along an axis, right? About that far. And then we can undo, just repeat our rotation. That's maybe slightly better. I think the shape doesn't feel quite right for this, but I think this is as far as I want to go with modeling today. Let's slap a material on it. Or two. Oh yeah, so shade smooth. There you go. Oh. We are frozen. Give Blender a second. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so for the sphere, theoretically we might want like 2 materials, but we'll just do one with let's see, fairly light metallic, and the base can be a little bit more earth toned and rougher. Okay, as a placeholder, I'm gonna take it. So we're gonna save this, and this is going to be, what do we call? Well, I'm just gonna call it radar. Am I using underscores? Yeah, dish. And save that, and then I need to go and we'll turn off the setup stuff. Get rid of the lighting and the camera. Save it again. Minimize that. We'll go back to Godot. That'll import our blend file. And then in our range amplifier, we're going to replace tower here with our new asset. There we go. Oh, that's fun. It's very... Why so bright? Let's see. We want to have editable children. Right, so we can see the meshes, because then what we need to do is we have to list the mesh instances here so that they are part of the placement preview. For radar dish, though, we might need to look at how it's imported. Remind me what light baking does. Configure the mesh's geometry 3 instance 3D GI mode in the 3D scene. If set to static light maps, set the mesh's GI mode to static and generates UV2 on import for light map GI baking. Okay. Create shadow meshes if true. Enables generation of shadow meshes on import. This optimizes shadow rendering without reducing quality by welding vertices together when possible. Okay. Let's try dynamic. Okay, I don't think that did anything. We'll leave it how it was. I think the there's settings in the viewport or somewhere. Oh, here we go. Toggle preview sunlight. Aha. Toggle preview environment. Okay, so we get that because in this scene there is no lighting because that happens outside of this particular scene. Okay, so there's all of that. We'll let this save. And we'll see. Oh, goodbye, Godot. Godot crashed. Let's open it again. All right. Where did that leave us? Okay. And we have our mesh instances array there. So that's good. If we were to... Hold on, let's see here. Collision shape 3D. Box shape. I don't know if the scale is going to be right, so we can tweak it, but let's see what this looks like really quick. One of the things that I want to do in Blender, though, is I want to actually make an icon for this to figure out what the workflow is like, right? To figure out how I want to approach that, so we can do that for all the things. Let's go to our test scenario, so we have some freedom to mess around. Okay, that's a turret. That is something else. Here's our radar. We can, there we go, get a different perspective on it. I mean, it's not amazing. All right, but it's in the game. Okay. So somehow an hour has passed, and that means it's time for me to take a break, stretch my legs, and you may want to do the same. That's up to you. But I'll be back in like 3 minutes, and we will make an icon.